Scene opens with a dramatic news alert. Flashing red lights. Breaking news banner. KTV goes nuclear on Jason Whitlock. The camera cuts to a heated studio debate, fists slamming on tables, voices raised. The screen freezes on a furious host pointing directly at the camera. Text appears, "He went too far. And they made him pay." The sports media world is on fire. And the epicenter of the explosion? A television network that just obliterated one of the most controversial sports commentators in America. Jason Whitlock, the outspoken, unapologetic, and often polarizing media personality, has been blasting Caitlin Clark for months. He's called her overrated. He's questioned her impact. He's suggested that her success is more about white privilege than talent. He's even mocked her fans, her game, and her legacy. But this time, he went too far. And KTV, a major sports network, decided they had had enough. In a segment that has now gone viral, KTV hosts didn't just criticize Jason Whitlock. They dismantled him. They exposed him. They called him out for his hypocrisy, his bias, and his relentless attacks on one of the most inspiring athletes of our generation. The segment was brutal. It was honest. And it was absolutely electrifying to watch. What exactly did Jason Whitlock say that crossed the line? And how did Caitlin Clark herself react to all of this? Yanni, this story has everything. Drama, controversy, media warfare, and a powerful message about standing up for what's right. Buckle up. Because KTV just declared war on Jason Whitlock, and the fallout is going to be massive. Jason Whitlock's most controversial comments yet. Scene opens with a montage of Jason Whitlock's past statements. Clips of him on various shows, making bold claims, smirking, and doubling down on his opinions. The screen flashes text summarizing his most inflammatory remarks. Jason Whitlock is no stranger to controversy. In fact, he's built his entire career on it. From his days at ESPN to his current independent platform, Whitlock has made a name for himself by saying what others won't say, often at the expense of athletes, especially black athletes. But his recent comments about Caitlin Clark have struck a nerve like never before. Here's what he said. Caitlin Clark is not a generational talent. She's a product of a system that wants a white female superstar. If she were black, she wouldn't get half the attention she gets. She plays no defense. She's a volume shooter. She's not even the best player in her own conference. The media is pushing her because she fits a certain image. It's not about basketball. It's about optics. These comments sparked immediate backlash. Fans called him racist. Critics accused him of diminishing a young woman's achievements out of jealousy. Even fellow journalists, who often defend free speech, distanced themselves from his rhetoric. But Whitlock didn't back down. He doubled down. He went on multiple platforms, repeating his claims, arguing that he was simply telling the truth and that everyone else was afraid to speak their minds. He even suggested that Caitlin Clark's record-breaking scoring title was inflated because she played against weaker competition. The basketball world was outraged. And then, KTV decided to respond. KTV's explosive segment, a takedown for the ages. Scene opens with the KTV studio. The hosts are visibly angry. One host slams a folder on the table. Another shakes her head in disbelief. The lead host looks directly into the camera and begins speaking with controlled fury. KTV didn't hold back. In a segment titled The Whitlock Problem, the network's top hosts systematically dismantled every single one of Jason Whitlock's claims about Caitlin Clark. Here's how they did it. Claim 1. Caitlin Clark is not a generational talent. KTV responded by showing a highlight reel of Caitlin Clark's most incredible performances, logo threes, no-look passes, triple-doubles, and game-winning shots. They then displayed a list of records she holds, many of which surpass legends like Diana Taurasi, Maya Moore, and even some NBA players. If this isn't generational talent, the host said, then I don't know what is. Claim 2. She's only popular because she's white. KTV brought in a panel of diverse analysts, black, white, Latino, male, female, all of whom rejected Whitlock's narrative. Caitlin Clark is popular because she's incredible to watch, one analyst said. She plays with flair, confidence, and skill that we haven't seen in women's basketball in decades. Reducing her success to race is not just wrong, it's lazy. Claim 3. She plays no defense. KTV showed defensive highlights, steals, blocks, and her ability to read passing lanes. They also pointed out that while she may not be a lockdown defender, she is far from a liability. Does she make mistakes on defense? Yes. So does every player. But to say she plays no defense is a lie. And it's a lie that Whitlock repeats because it fits his narrative. Claim 4. The media is pushing her because of optics. KTV responded by showing ratings data, social media engagement, and ticket sales. The numbers didn't lie. The media isn't pushing Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is pushing the media. She's the reason ratings are up. She's the reason arenas are sold out. She's the reason people are talking about women's basketball like never before. That's not optics. That's impact. The segment ended with a powerful closing statement. Jason Whitlock has built his career on being a contrarian. But sometimes, being contrarian just means being wrong. And in this case, he's not just wrong. He's harmful. He's tearing down a young woman who has done nothing but lift this sport to new heights. And we at KTV will not sit by and let that happen. The segment went viral. And Jason Whitlock? He was furious. Jason Whitlock fires back. The war escalates. Scene opens with Jason Whitlock on his own platform, looking agitated. He's scrolling through his phone, reading critical tweets. He looks up, smirks, and begins speaking. Jason Whitlock is not the type to take criticism quietly. Within hours of KTV's segment, he fired back, not on KTV, but on his own platform, where he has full control of the narrative. He called KTV's hosts clowns and accused them of virtue signaling. They don't care about Caitlin Clark, he said. They care about ratings. They're using her just like everyone else. They saw an opportunity to look woke, and they took it. He also accused KTV of ignoring the real issues in women's basketball, such as the pay gap, lack of resources, and systemic inequalities. They want to talk about me, he said, but they don't want to talk about the fact that women's basketball players are still struggling to make a living. That's the real story, not Caitlin Clark's highlight reels. Whitlock also doubled down on his original comments, saying, I stand by what I said. Caitlin Clark is overhyped, and history will prove me right. The war was officially on. Fans were divided, some supporting Whitlock's right to free speech, others praising KTV for holding him accountable. But the person everyone was waiting to hear from? Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark's subtle but powerful response. Scene opens with Caitlin Clark at a post-game press conference. She looks calm, collected, and unbothered. A reporter asks her about the controversy. She smiles, pauses, and then delivers a response that leaves everyone speechless. Caitlin Clark is a master of silence. She has learned that the best response to criticism is often no response at all. But this time, she said just enough. When asked about Jason Whitlock's comments, she took a deep breath and said, I don't pay attention to people who don't know me. I don't pay attention to people who don't know basketball. I don't pay attention to people who have never sat in the gym with me, who have never seen the hours I put in, who have never understood the sacrifices I've made. I'm focused on my team. I'm focused on winning. I'm focused on getting better every single day. That's what matters to me. Not opinions. Not noise. Not controversies. She then added, with a subtle smile, but I will say this. I'm proud of what I've accomplished. I'm proud of what I'm building. And I'm proud of the people who support me, including the great team at KTV. The room erupted in applause. Her response was perfect, gracious, dignified, and unintentionally devastating to Whitlock. Because by refusing to engage with him directly, she made him irrelevant. And that, Yanni, is the ultimate victory. What this controversy really means. Scene opens with a wide shot of a basketball court. Young girls are playing, aspiring to be the next Caitlin Clark. The camera pans to Jason Whitlock's face on a screen, then to Caitlin Clark's face, smiling. Text appears. The real winner is the game. So what does this entire saga mean? What does the KTV versus Jason Whitlock battle tell us about the state of sports media, race, and the treatment of female athletes? First, it shows that athletes, especially female athletes, are tired of being disrespected. They are tired of having their achievements diminished by people who have never played the game at a high level. Second, it shows that the media is evolving. More outlets are willing to call out unfair criticism and defend athletes who deserve better. Third, it exposes the double standards that still exist in sports. Why is Caitlin Clark's success questioned, while male players with similar accomplishments are celebrated without reservation? Fourth, it proves that Caitlin Clark is bigger than any single critic. Jason Whitlock can say whatever he wants, but the numbers, the records, and the impact don't lie. And finally, it reminds us that sports are about more than just games. They're about society. They're about culture. They're about who we choose to celebrate and who we choose to tear down. Caitlin Clark has become a symbol of excellence, and no amount of criticism, no matter how loud, can change that. Jason Whitlock may have his opinions, but Caitlin Clark has her legacy. And in the end, that's what truly matters.